Hey everybody, it's Arwen, the professional joy seeker, and I'm here today with my astrologer, Julia Waters. I like to have my transits done, and a lot of people ask about astrology because they don't really. There's so much going on with astrology that with my teroscopes, I'm doing real sketchy, like high level stuff. So this is more in depth, and this is somebody who's going to. She looks at your birth chart and then your chart for where you are now, and talks about where your planets are. Julia does this professionally. You're going to hear an echo. We're having some uh, audio problems, so I hope you can work through that with us. We'll see. But Julia, go ahead.
Okay. Just kind of wave at me if you have a question, because I'm going to turn the speaker off on my cell phone until, okay?
Very good.
Basically what I do, I take your birth chart, and I look at what all the planets are doing to your birth chart at this moment. And this is for the whole entire year to come. So February from 2017 to February 2018. It just gives you like an overview of days that will work well for you to do things and days when you need to do other things instead of going forward. There's a whole lot of information involved. Luckily for you, this is a very good year. You don't really have any harsh aspects this year at all. And most people have been. It's a rough year for a lot of people. But I was like, yay, finally a good one. Woo-hoo. I always start with Mercury. It's very, very fast. It's like the sun. It takes a year to go around the zodiac, and it retrogrades a couple times a year, which means that's a time when you just want to slow down and take things easy. You don't want to, rush ahead like we normally do. And so the very first transit you have coming up, Mercury is going to your Saturn. Conjunct your Saturn, which means transiting Mercury. What's happening in the heavens is right over your natal Saturn, the place it was when you were born. And that's going to happen from February 4th to February 6th. But you got a couple days right now. So this is perfect timing, where it's time for you to really think about what you want to set into motion. Because in Capricorn, you want structure and form with everything you do. And Mercury's going to be giving you some insight into what that looks like over the next 2 to 3 days. So pay a lot of attention to your meditations, pay a lot of attention to your dreams, pay a lot of attention to everything that comes up the next 3 days, because that's going to set the pace for you for the rest of the year. Almost mystical, magical that we're doing this today. So you have this information for the next couple days.
Funny how that works.
Phone this, and I'm like, this is why. Saturn in Capricorn, so very structured. Your Saturn return won't be until 2019. So you have a couple years here where you can still really work this energy. I know, it's like, yay! Trust me, the Saturn return isn't that bad. I just finished mine, so when you get closer to it, we'll talk about it. But I really want you to think about what new plans you want to set in motion the next couple days. Because I know you've always got a plan going.
This is so true.
And it's like, this is time. Make your little joy list that you do, and do all your little writing, and back it up with your tarot divination. Get your new program in motion. Okay, it's time. Are you teaching tarot online yet?
That's the
lesson plan online that you can teach.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, there is. There
okay.
Absolutely is.
Good. All right. So days is when you really want to go, how am I going to put that out there? Put it out there, because Mercury's going to be going to retrograde in March. Place before that happens. So absolutely launch, think about maybe doing it anyway. Out there, because it's a very powerful time for you. That was the big one. The retrograde that happens in April, it starts April 9th. It's going to be all in your second house of self-worth and finances. Remember, the most valuable thing you own is you. So that's why it's a house of self-worth. And if you're feeling good about yourself and you're being the joyful Arwen that I know, then everything begins to flow into your life, right? Because the more you're joyful, the more good stuff happens. So you need to keep, especially during this Mercury retrograde, you need to keep that joy going.
Okay.
Second house stuff, a whole lot of self-worth issues. So when those things come up, just really look at them. Mercury retrograde doesn't mean that, oh my God, the world's gonna, end. It's about slowing down, pay attention to the messages that you're getting, and act on them. Read everything twice. Any contract you sign, read it twice. Be sure you're clear. It's gonna conjunct your Venus in Aries from April 28th until April 30th. It's you're very outgoing. It's all about you, and you know that, and that's a wonderful place to be. But when you have Mercury conjunct that, it can bring up some thoughts about that. So those 2 days can be a little tricky to negotiate. I would recommend just doing a lot of self-care on those 2 days. Deal with people if you don't have to, especially people that are a little toxic. Don't even let that in your energy space because it's more important that you get you figured out where you need to be. Make sense?
It does. It does absolutely.
It's a little tricky. It's going to go direct on May 3rd, and then it's just clear. It's clear sailing for a while. It's going to go through your second house, your third house, your fourth house, your fifth house. These different areas of life. Third house is the way you communicate. Of really wanting to put words out there, and that's going to be from. Hold on, I have it all written down here. That's going to be from May 16th until June 18th. So it's about a month. It goes into your fourth house of home and family. That's when we always want to redo our house. We want to change something. We want to bring new things into our home. People move sometimes on that aspect. If you don't like where you are now, move one room to another room. There's always movement in that period. And that's from June 14th to July 19th. Fifth house of having fun. You need to take a real vacation this year. Really fun where you can enjoy yourself, but it will also inspire your mind because it's Mercury. It's from, what did I say, June 18th. That's going to be from June. It's going to be a long one until August. Actually, it's up until September 4th because that's when it goes into your sixth house. For work and service. It's also, Mercury's going to be retrograde from 8/12. I'm sorry, let me take that back. It's going to go into your sixth house. Spit it out, Julia. In your sixth house, I didn't write this one down. My fault, bad, Julia. August, I think it's August 9th, because it goes retrograde again from August 12th to September 4th in your sixth house of work and service. Okay, so if you get everything set in motion now, when that retrograde hits, care of. If you don't, when the retrograde hits, it's going to be a little hard to get things started business-wise, okay? Because you're going to second-guess yourself, and I don't want you to do that. It brings no joy. And we have to have our joyful Arwen, okay? That's just the way it has to be. And you don't know how much I look forward to your joyful posts every day. I really do, especially in these times we're living in, when life isn't always joyful. So thank you for that. Appreciate it. The retrograde in August doesn't affect any planets. It's just all in your sixth house of work and service. So if you want to, I would say in July, start looking at what do you want to do next as far as serving the planet. We already know you're a joy bringer. What is the next level of that? So when the retrograde happens, you can go really deep inside, spend time in meditation, because that's what Mercury retrogrades are for. Write your life down, meditate, get yourself regroup, and then come out swinging September 4th. Make sense? There's one more retrograde that's going to affect you. That is December 3rd through December 21st, and it's your 11th house. 11th house is groups you're associated with, friends, acquaintances. It's not the really close, tight friends, but the people you know superficially. That particular retrograde, you really want to look at what organizations you're involved in. And do you want to continue being involved there? And do you want to dig in deeper if you are involved? Like, I know you're a member of the Tarot Association and you're really good at that. So obviously you're going to want to strengthen that. Are there any other groups like that you want to join or anything else you want to do? Okay. The sky's the limit right now for you. I'm not kidding. You've got a great year ahead of you. Yay. And it's like, wow, I want to encourage you to really have some joy, have some fun. And in the 11th house, be able to bring that into other people's lives, that you can make a lot of movement. You do have, Mercury will be going through your 10th house, which I didn't mention, and let me do that real quick. It ends there. It's going to be happening in October. It's going to be really quick because then Mercury's moving fast again. So like October 4th until around the 1st of November. So it'll be in that whole area of the world will see you. So have you finally got your book written yet? I see a smile.
Well, it depends on which book. I've got several going, so I've got.
Okay. It's time to start letting a publisher look at them when Mercury's in your 10th house. Okay, I'll give you really good days for that, which I haven't done yet because I didn't know about the book, but we'll do a follow-up phone call and I'll give you those dates too. But absolutely get them to somebody who can, look at them. I don't care who it is, even if it's, the little people with the moon on the tablet, because they do have good, and they're good for tarot and astrology. Llewellyn is amazing for tarot books and astrology books. Some of their other books, well, we both know we have our own opinions on that. But those two books series are always excellent.
Good.
From them for that. So if you want to publish through them, they would give you a little bit more stamina to get out there and talk more and start doing more workshops and stuff like that. Are you doing workshops on tarot?
I don't have any set up this year, but that's one of the books I'm looking at, that it may be a workshop book.
Okay, good, because you need to, it's time. And this is just Mercury, and this is going to, every year it's going to have the same similar transit. Advantage of it this year. When it goes retrograde in December, it's going to go back into your 10th house from 12/9 to 12. It's like 12/9 to 12/10. You got this 2-day period where it's going to go back into the 10th house before it goes back again direct on 12/21. So you got a couple days where it's going to go. It's in your 11th and it's going to go back into the 10th where the world can see you. The world is on you. Okay, just double check everything. Read every contract twice.
Can you repeat that? Because a few things happened on this, and I was trying to deal with the echo. Can you repeat that?
Yes. The month of December, even though Mercury is retrograde, for you it's a power time. Because Mercury is going to go, it's been in your 11th house, it's going to retrograde back into your 10th house. The 10th house is our career and how the world sees us. Okay, so you have 2 passes of Mercury within a 2-month period. The first time it goes through, and it retrogrades back into, right? So you have this really wonderful, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the phone so it's not squealing on you. You have this really wonderful time of really being able to put your image out there for the world to see. What you want to teach, what you have, I don't want to say sell, that's not the right word, what you have to offer. Remember, you are worthy of getting paid a fair wage for what you do. You're professional, right? And I know we all do stuff for people, and we'll cut our prices for someone who's really in need. But I want you to think on the manner of realizing you're a professional, because we always undersell ourselves. Stop it. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You need a livable wage, just like the rest of us. And your time is worth money. Money is the only exchange we have, right? So I used to feel bad about charging. I don't anymore. Because I spend a lot of time when I get ready for clients. Just a quick example, I had somebody come yesterday for a reading, and it ended up being 4 hours because that's what she needed. Right? That's what it is. And I'm okay with that. My readings typically last 2 hours. This one went 4. So what? She had already paid the fee. And I was real okay with it. And luckily someone else had canceled, so we had plenty of time, and it was wonderful.
Yeah,
and so as long as you're aware of that, to be of service, because that's what we're both called to. Don't worry about the money. Set your fee, that's it. And if people don't want to pay it, God has blessed them. It's okay. I can recommend you to other people, and I do. I have 3 other astrologers I'll recommend to people. Some charge more than me, some charge less than me. So set up a group of tarot readers or that you can do that same exchange with if you want, and you may get more clients that way too. Because I get clients from people that they don't want to read them.
Yeah.
Especially if they're Pisces, because I'm a Pisces, and most people don't want to read Pisces, right? So they'll send them to me, and I'm cool with that. We're difficult, you know. We can do dolly drama like nobody else, you know. Trust me, drama queen. So that's your Mercury transits, and I'm gonna type all these up and mail them to you too. So I know you have the tape, but I do that. That's part of what I do. I type it all up. And as you already know, if you have any questions over the coming year about this, you contact me, and we'll talk about it some more because this covers for the whole year. The Venus transits for you are like unbelievably blessed. Again, I'm sorry, this muting, this is driving me nuts now. I got to turn it off for a second because I'm getting too much feedback too. You have a Venus return this year, but you have a Venus return every year. And that's on April 15th, the day that Venus goes retrograde. I'm sorry, the day that Venus goes direct. Venus is going to go retrograde on March 4th through April 15th. It only goes retrograde every 2 years for 40 days, and this is the year we get it. Venus retrograde is the one time I tell my clients do not make any big purchases, because you're going to be disappointed when Venus goes direct. It won't be worth what you think it is. Do not start new relationships, which I know you won't do because you're in one. But it helps us, it makes us re-examine our relationship, which is a good thing. We all need to do that once in a while, you know, get back on equal footing. This particular one, again, is in your second house, just like the Mercury retrograde is. Actually, those two are going to be moving together first in March. And when then Mercury goes retrograde April 9th, when Venus goes direct on April 15th. So it's a real complicated, like almost a 7-week period from March to April that we got this really nasty retrograde stuff going on with those two planets. But, and I've been telling people about, you know, just relax, breathe, you know, quit watching politics. Because I don't know about you, but that makes me crazy. And just, you know, get into what you need to do for you. In your case, the Venus retrograde is, again, as just like the Mercury, is going through your second house. So a whole lot of self-worth issues. I'm going to give you a job to do during this time period. And I know you can do this because I know you well enough.
Okay, go ahead and mute your phone because when you mute it, the echo is not bad.
Okay, and then you just let me know when you want to talk.
Perfect.
Technical problems, people. My phone's on. My speakers don't want to work, so that's why we're having to do this wonderful thing this way. Is in the second house of self-worth. That's the time when you really have to really look at yourself and build that back up. My crazy thing that I do every day, because for years I was in an abusive relationship and told I was fat and ugly, nobody ever want me. So I made a habit every day of standing in front of the mirror, as naked as I can be. I'm beautiful, right? And I am beautiful.
You are.
And my husband now tells me every day how beautiful I am. So that's a really good way to seriously look in your own eyes. I'm a beautiful person on the planet. I'm a very loving, giving, caring, whatever adjectives you want to use about yourself, as long as they're positive. Do that every day in that 40-day Venus retrograde period. And that to everybody, but especially you in that second house of self-worth and money. Also possible that you're going to get money from unexpected sources during these two retrogrades, Mercury and Venus together. It's like all of a sudden, wait, I had that happen yesterday. I got a thing in the mail from somebody who I wasn't expecting, who decided they wanted a reading. They've been telling me that for like 10 years and finally sent me a money order. I'm like,
wow,
cool, you know. Little things will happen, especially in that time period. The Venus is going to go around your chart. It's just like Mercury travels the whole year. There's a couple days where there's some issues, but really nothing major. Venus is a real quick moving thing, helping you love and appreciate the things you need to know. Mars, however, interesting one. It doesn't make a lot of difficult transits, but I'm going to give you the days that it's in each house because that's what's important. Aggressive energy. It's also our flight energy when we get scared. You know, when you get that moment of adrenaline rush, that's a Mars energy. It's our anger stuff. When we get offended and we get in our righteous indignation, that's all Mars. It's root chakra energy, right? And you want to use that as good as possible in your life. It's going to be going through 7 houses this year. Mars takes about 2 years to go around the zodiac. And all the houses that it's going through in your chart don't really have any planets in them. Any aspects that aren't, like life-changing the whole year. So again, you have this really good thing even from Mars. So my best thing I can tell you to do with the Mars energy is appreciate your body. Working out, this is the year to start. It starts out in your second house. It's going to be there it's there now from February 3rd until March 30th. So self-worth issues. I don't look pretty, then do something about it.
I just started yoga.
Excellent. I have a great video called the Fat Girls Yoga. I love it. And I can actually do it because it's, it doesn't stress my body too much and I'm getting me in shape a little bit. Anything very light stuff, Tai Chi would be really good too. I need that movement. Not all of us are going to want to go and hang out in the gym and run a bike all day long. I just get bored, And I can't sit there and keep ear things in my ears. I'm too sensitive. It drives my ears nuts. So doesn't work. Swimming is really good if you can get to a good pool. Love. If you don't love what you're exercising, you're not going to stick with it.
And
so find something that you love.
Yeah, the yoga, and now
makes sense.
And next Monday, I'm going to be doing Tai Chi.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm going to hold the phone up to my ear. That's even better when you start making sounds. It's all good. Love my phone. Thank you, phone. At least you're working. It's going to go into your 3rd house on March 20th. That's when you're going to have a lot more energy to speak publicly. All about communications, right? Getting out there, putting yourself forward, realizing you have a lot of information to share. You are a professional. Own it. Be it, because if not us, who? We've been doing this for how long now? 30, 40 years? It's time. You have so much wisdom stored in that little brain of yours. It's time for you to start sharing it. I love the Leonard cards you guys did, the Fairy Oracle. I got that. I love it. The fairy tale one. I absolutely love it. It's the first Leonard deck that I like because I've got several, and that one I really like, and I'm actually using it. So I appreciate the book you wrote about it. I appreciate the artwork of it, and you need to do even workshops on that. For your comfort level. I know it's hard. Putting yourself out there is rough. Trust me, I know. If you're not doing festivals yet, I highly recommend you do a couple missions. Okay. Sometimes they'll waive your fee. The good ones will. Sometimes they even pay you, which is even better. There's one particular thing I went to yesterday that not only waived my fee, but they paid all my transportation, and I had a little stipend too. So I'm definitely going back this year, because I got to teach for a whole week, stuff I loved, and they paid for me to get there. The other place I do all the time, I usually get my fee waived, but they don't pay me to get there. So look for those options. There's a lot of stuff going on in Texas right now, and you're not that far from surrounding communities that you can get out and start teaching. The more you teach, the more information you're sharing with other people, the more you're changing the world. And you're sharing your joy with all of us. So get your butt in gear, woman. Movement. You're going to have that from March 20th until April 26th when Mars goes into your 4th house. Home improvement, even if it's not your home. Okay? Because Mars, that energy of home and family, and I can't stand my kitchen like this. I got to change it. Or I can't stay, you're going to have a lot of energy that way. So if you really don't have the finances, that's right. New Mexico is very close to Texas. And I know you can do stuff in Santa Fe. So get your butt in gear. Albuquerque, Santa Fe, huge outlet there. It's time. And I'll endorse you to anybody if you ever need to vouch, tell them to talk to me. Okay? Because I think you're wonderful. I really do. Always have. And I really want to encourage you to get your voice out there with all the other, I don't want to say big nose pagans because that's not what it is, but the real authors and the people who really care about what they're doing.
Thank you.
And the people who absolutely care about the energy they're giving, the information they're giving, and the ethics they're giving. Important. And you're one of the good ones. So we need your voice. Okay. When Mars goes into your fourth house, that's from April 26th until May 27th. Get your home in order so you feel good to travel this summer. Use that energy. What do I need to do? Get your bags packed. What do I need to take with me so you can take home with you? Because if you're like me, I need to have a little bit of home everywhere I go. You know, I have to take, I have certain books I always have to have. I have a certain blanket I have to have. So I have a to-go pack ready to go at all times. And it's always packed up and it's in the corner of the bedroom. And that way I don't have to worry about it. When it's time for festival, I got to do is throw some clothes in a bag. So, right? So have that set up because you never know at the last minute somebody could call you. Hey, we have an opening here. You just never know. It's like I keep seeing a lot of movement for you this year for this Mars, and I don't know why. Some of that's my psychic sense picking up on it. But I think once you start getting your name out there, people go, oh, wow, this woman's really good. Let's get her here. Get yourself out there. Get in the public eye. Trust me, I know it's hard the first couple times you do it. But you know, once you start talking, it's no problem. The information just flows. It's just a matter of getting yourself up and going, oh, I'm no expert. Yeah, you are. So we both are. And as scary as that is to admit, oh my God, you know, we are.
We've done the work.
And so it's time to start using it. Okay. It's going to be going into your fifth house of fun, which is again why you need to have a vacation. The same time as Venus is 27th through July 1st, because it's moving a little slower. So take some time in June. What do you want to do for fun? You know, if teaching at a festival is fun, then do that. But go away with your honey and have a really good time. You know, even if it's just a little weekend, even if it's just one night in a hotel, but make some time for fun, for pleasure, for enjoyment, because that's going to refresh your spirit.
Gotcha.
You may actually pick up a new hobby of something that's fun to do in May. What do I want to do? What's the next thing? What's the next thing on the boat? You know, yeah, I'm writing and I'm creating, but what can I add to that? You're going to have a lot of energy that way. Mars is like, let me push her a little bit. It goes into your sixth house of service on July 1st. Okay. So that's when that whole emphasis again is back to how can I help people? What can I do? What's the next to be of service to the universe? From July 7th to August 16th. 6-week period of really looking at what you're called to bring in. All right. So that, for me, that feels almost like a little bit of a slowdown because I need to meditate on what my next step is. Yes, I'm a teacher of tarot. What else can I do?
Right.
Tarot being the basic thing I do. What's next? You know, my basic thing is always astrology. You want me to do astrology? I'm there. That's my passion. But along with that, I also teach a class on reconsecrating the womb for sexual abuse survivors. I teach the mysteries of Demeter, Hecate, and Persephone because that's something else I'm drawn to. So what else are you drawn to besides tarot? Can you be of service to the planet? In other words, that's going to be real vital in that particular month. Okay. It's going to move into your seventh house of relationships, August 16th, and it's going to be there for a very long time because that particular house in your birth chart has an interception, which means it has like instead of the normal around 28 to 30 degrees, your seventh house has 38 degrees. So things take longer to go through that.
Okay. I have somebody at my door. If you'll keep talking, because I'll be able to review this again. But if you don't mind talking while I go deal with whoever that is, and the dogs will.
Not at all. Okay. So I'm going to keep talking because Erin's got somebody at her door, and I'm going to be able to share all kinds of cool information now because she's not here to look at me. That whole the seventh house in Arwen's chart has extra degrees because the day she was born, we calculated birth chart based on the latitude, the longitude, the time, and the birthday. She was born, she has what we call an interception, where there are too many degrees in two houses. And so the entire, like an entire block of the zodiac is in there and then stuff on each side. In her case, she has 38 degrees in her seventh and her first house, which means planets take a longer time to go through them. Mars being there from August 16th until October 26th is almost 2 months. And that's a long time of dealing with relationships, because the seventh house is all about relationships, not just your love partner, but all the relationships you're involved with, your friends, your acquaintances, especially business partners, because usually we spend more time with business partners even than we do with our love partners. Typically, people work 40 hours a week outside the home. You think about that 40 to 50 hours that you're with other people as opposed to being at home. So the seventh house is all about that. And she's back. Yay! Hello. Mars is going through that seventh house in from August 16th till October 26th. The people you're in partnership with on a business level as well as on a love level. Relationship issues can come up, sort them out real quick. Not a big deal. There's no harsh aspects here. It's just, and we all have those little tiffs. If you don't, you're not in a normal relationship. I make the bed in my house. I make the bed a certain way. My husband makes it the wrong way. I always have to redo it if he makes it. Drives me nuts. I tell him, just don't even bother. I'll do it myself because you do it wrong. So after 20 years, he finally quit trying, and that's okay. I'd rather do it myself, right? So work through those things that are those minor annoyances. As a real good example, do you put the toilet seat down or not? Because John would never do that. Now we just both keep the lid down all the time. So it's just easier. I'll lift it up when I need to go, and he can do what he needs to do, but it's back down again. Plus, it keeps the cat from drinking out of the toilet bowl, so it's all good. Yeah. Look at those little minor tiffs, because it's Mars. They're going to come up. What's the underlying thing that's the tiff really about? It's just, but I'm a man. I shouldn't have to do that. Yes, you should. And so we compromise. And that's what the whole thing is about in the seventh house. Okay? Mars is going to be going into your eighth house on October 26th. That's the time when you really want to get back down into your deep occult studies, because the eighth house rules what we call the occult or the hidden mysteries. As you meditate and you get all this new information, it's blockbusters. I'm sure you do this, that you meditate on the tarot cards every day, because I meditate on the planets every day. Yeah, exactly. Big old crystal in your hand. I love that. Exactly. Spend that time, get the new insights you need that you can bring into what you're going to be teaching next year. This information you're teaching this year, when October 26th happens and Mars goes into your eighth house, that's going to inspire you to bring in more stuff. Okay, make sense? That's going to last until 12/21. So you've got like a month and a half there of really starting to explore stuff. And then when it goes into your ninth house in December 21, that's when you put together the teaching plan for next year. It's all about higher philosophies, education, long distance travel. Start getting your plans of where you're going to be teaching next year.
Okay.
Okay. So those are your Mars transits for this year. The next one. As she's, I hope we can, I'm sure she's going to be able to do stuff with this. Yay, there she is. Okay. It scares me when you wander away. I'm like, where's she going? Where's she going? Because I love seeing your bright, shiny face. It's so cool. Okay. The Jupiter transits of this year are, again, really good. This is a good year for you. I'm not kidding. Come on, in a second. I have a little rugrat here who's driving me nuts. You have big dogs. I got a little tiny one. And he has to sit with me in my chair, behind my back, which he's doing right now. Thank goodness he's tiny. Okay. Jupiter is where the gods go, I love you. You can have anything you want. It's called the Great Benefic for a reason, because those transits are always bringing very positive stuff. But like most things that are very positive, we don't realize how cool they are. And so we just expect it's normal. But what happened? Wait, bring it back. So when you have a good Jupiter transit, you want to take advantage of it. And you have a couple. It's going to be retrograde for a while. It's going retrograde February 6th, which is in a couple days. It's going to be retrograde until June 19th, and it's all in your ninth house. Ninth house, again, is about higher education, philosophies, long-distance travel, thinking outside the box. The third house, which is the opposite of the ninth, is communication, which we do once we understand what the ninth house is. Then we can talk about all the knowledge we have. Your Jupiter is sitting there almost the entire year. So a huge expansion in information. I want to use the word bigly. Okay, can we get that one? The bigly expansion. Serious, really, really good stuff. Yeah, huge, huge. Let me do my fingers. Stop. I don't mean to offend anybody. Please, just I'm a clown. All right, here we go. I'll be nice. Retrograde, and the retrograde is. Hold on, let me. Bad Julia. Retrograde is going to square your Saturn in Cancer, which is a good thing. Squares make us work. Jupiter is like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you. But it's like if you read the Greek mythology, if you were the kid of Zeus, he'd give you a magical sword. He just wouldn't tell you could only use it once and it would break on you. We need that square, that little bit of a conflict, so we can figure out what to do with the information. Our Saturn is in Capricorn. Jupiter is in Aries, so those guys aren't going to get along for a couple of days. It's a very short time. I better write it down. It's also going to oppose your Venus. Hold on. Let me pull my handy-dandy calendar out so I get the exact date, because for some reason I spaced it and didn't write it down. Because the retrograde starts, which I did write down, February 6th to June 19th, and it's going to square your Saturn. Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry, I'm taking a second here. Because your Saturn is 25. On, Julia, get your shit together. Sorry about my language. It's going to square it on February 19th through February 26th. So it's just like an 8-day period from that retrograde. And that particular time, pay attention to what those conflicts are about, of great information versus work, versus structure and form. Because all the information you're getting from Jupiter in the 9th house, Saturn in the 12th, of hidden mysteries, and also where we deceive ourselves. So it's a way to help you not get caught up in deception, the square is. Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Overthink ourselves and think we really understand something totally and completely, and then when the square is over, it's like, oh my God, I really blew that one, and get it back to where it needs to be. So pay attention to those areas that, like, you think you've really got it, and then it's like, wait a second, let me research that a little bit more before I put it out there. It's like on a Facebook. Sometimes I post something that's not true, and thankfully you called me on it. Thank you very much for that. If I ever post something that's false, let me know, because I hate false news.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, that drives me nuts. So just pay attention in that particular 2-week period, not to move on anything. Yes, you have the information, but let me be sure it's correct when it goes back. It's going to go back and forth. The opposition to Venus is about, what do you really love? Because Jupiter's in Libra right now. It's all about balance and harmony, and I want to keep everybody happy, and you can't keep everybody happy. Venus in Aries is all about you. So that opposition is something you really need while you're trying to be the joyful, wonderful light bearer that you are. Don't neglect yourself, Venus in Aries. Okay? So if you're giving to the point of pain, you ain't helping anybody. Okay, you're actually, my astrology teacher told me that, because I was doormat written here for years, right? And she would say, you realize when you're giving it to everybody else, you're actually giving them karma. I owe you in their next life, so knock it off. Then I don't want anybody owing me. I want to be done with all this nonsense. I want to get it all done this time. Next life, I'll do whatever else I need to do, but I don't want anybody owing me. So I'm real careful. I will give as much as I'm able to, but if I'm giving to the point that it's causing me pain, that's not helping anybody. If you're getting physically exhausted, mentally exhausted, emotionally exhausted, take a big breath, step back and say, excuse me, I got to do self-care now. This particular time when Venus does that, when you get the Jupiter retrograde to the Venus, which is around the same time as because your Jupiter and Saturn are all combined. So around that very same time period I just told you, I would recommend you do a lot of self-care. Massage. Go do something fun for yourself. Go get some ice cream. Whatever brings you joy. Yeah, Ben and Jerry's my favorite. Whatever you want, and it's okay. Oh, and she's gone to the door again. I'm going to keep talking. Venus will be going direct on 9/19. It's going to re-square the Saturn and reoppose the Venus from 9/19 to 9/27. So everything that's happening in this period of 2/26 of February, let me recheck my dates because I keep messing that up and I feel stupid. While she's away on the door again. So when she's doing the whole thing from February 26th, actually it was before that, February 12th until March 22nd. February 12th to March 22nd is going to be that Jupiter square to Saturn and the opposition to the Venus. It's going to go direct. When Jupiter turns to go direct, you're going to have that exact same aspect from a more easier way to deal with it because it's not retrograde. Retrograde makes us really go inside ourselves always. When it's direct, it's from 9/19 to 9/27. So those same issues are going to come up again on those two periods this year. Those dates are important, especially the one in September, because the direct, you can actually do something about it. You don't get as overwhelmed. Energy is moving forward. So now you can go, okay, this doesn't work for me, or that person's too toxic for me. I need to take a step back. And you can do it gently with a lot of love. Whereas with the retrograde, sometimes we, stick our foot in our mouth up to our kneecap because we've just had enough. Yeah. So just pay attention. Try to be quiet if you can in February while it's retrograde. But in September, if it continues that long, enough. The door open to crack if they ever get their act together, but you don't have to put up with abuse. And we both know occasionally you do find those people who, bless their hearts and may they have a nice life, but the toxicity is just too much. And you just have to step away. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Go, go, go. Jupiter is going to enter Scorpio. It's going to conjunct your moon on October 10th. Cool. Yeah, no, it's cool. You have a moon in Scorpio. So you have that intensity of emotion that you hide a lot. But yeah, you're like me. You hide it a lot, but it's there. When Jupiter goes over that point on that particular day, it's going to be 10:10 to 10:12. For you, really pay attention to what happens in your dreams and your meditations, all those things you pick up just in the ethers those couple days, because you have the ability to go into the darkest places in the universe and bring back light. Okay, you're doing the journey of Persephone down into Hades realm and bringing it back up while Jupiter's crossing that moon in Scorpio.
Very good.
Okay, so just be prepared for that. Again, I'm going to send you these dates so you can post them on your wall and highlight them if you want to. Seek joy in the underworld. Okay. I love that. I need to get one of those.
I'm going to write it all.
I really do. I keep hearing you talk about it. I need one because I'm a double Pisces, so me planning stuff, that doesn't happen. I'm working on it. The other thing, Jupiter's going to be entering your 10th house on November 14th. So all the work you do this year to get yourself out there as an author and a teacher, it'll start manifesting on November 14th. A whole 3-month period of Jupiter being in that 10th house for the next year. That's when you start sending out feelers for who wants you to come to workshops the next year, who wants you to come to festivals. Put your name out there. They don't know about you until you submit a proposal. That's one thing I learned the hard way. As I'm sitting in my house going, but I'm a really good astrologer and I need to be out there. Well, if they don't know who I am, they're not going to ask me to do it.
Yeah, it's like the perfect.
And now people know who I am.
You got to put your resume
and what all you can do. All right. So the Saturn transits, we've only got 4 more to go. We're getting there. We've got some serious Saturn transits this year. Now, I love Saturn. It is my favorite planet. I'm probably the only astrologer you will ever hear that says that. I know. Saturn has a bad rap. It's called the Great Malefic. Jupiter's the Great Benefic because all these good things happen. Saturn's the Great Malefic because all these bad things happen.
Yeah.
Bad things. It's stuff that you need to restructure and reform. Pluto's going through Capricorn, which is a really bad thing because our whole worldwide governments are being destroyed because they don't work right. So they have to be rebuilt. Saturn is helping with that process, which is why the world is in such turmoil right now. Us astrologers have been going, yeah, we knew this was coming. And actually, the Pluto return of the American in 20 years. So it's going to be even more interesting then. We'll talk about that at another YouTube if you ever want to.
Yes.
I'm watching now. It's like, oh shit, what's going to happen? Oh, sorry. So Saturn is going to enter your 11th house on February 1st. Now is in this sign of Sagittarius. It's a beautiful, it's wonderful. It loves being in Sagittarius because Sagittarius has no limits. And Saturn, structured and very formed, it needs Sagittarius to reinvigorate itself. New structures that we can use.
Okay.
I think it really likes being there because I have Saturn and Sag, so I love it. To me, it's the image I have of Saturn and Sagittarius is the happy little Buddha with his hands on his belly going, what do you need? You know, if you do what you need, if you do what you're supposed to do, it's going to happen. And that's the way Saturn works. It's as predictable as a computer. If you put in the right information, you're going to get the right result. If you don't put in the right information, your computer's going to fry, as mine has done. I'm not good with computers. I mess them up all the time. Thank God I have a computer wizard who loves me and will help me out occasionally. So it's going to enter your 11th house on February 1st, and that's acquaintances and organizations you belong to. Some restructuring, some reforming. You may want to join some other organizations then. Corner. It's right before Venus goes retrograde. So do some searches now. Is there anything that you really want to commit to the next year so that when Saturn goes into that 11th house, you're already there before Venus goes retrograde? You may second guess yourself and not do it. That's why it's like do it beforehand if you can. It's going to make a great trine to your Venus in Aries from February 1st to February 9th, which means all kinds of self-love, all kinds of, oh, Erin is so wonderful, we just love her so much, pats on the head from everybody. Take them in, realize that it's truth, because Saturn doesn't lie. He's a hard taskmaster, but he gives you the rewards when you earn them, and you've earned them. So take advantage of that trine. Your Venus is in your 3rd house of communications, so lots of good stuff coming from the 11th house to the 3rd house. The groups you're involved with, you'll start hearing some feedback from that should be positive. If not, get the heck out of the group. Make sense? Especially if you're a big member of it and you're really promoting it and they're not going, you know, you're doing a good job. Well, you know, I need a perk here too, guys. I need to at least hear that. No, I'm not a drama queen, but you need to occasionally say, oh, this is exactly what we need. Only getting trouble and trauma from a group, take a step back. You don't have to quit, but just pull your energy back a little bit. Figure out if that's where you need to be. Make sense?
Yeah, my hula hoop.
Okay. It's going to retrograde back over that Venus in Aries because it's going to retrograde in your 11th house on April 5th. It's going to do another trine to your Venus from June 2nd to June 14th. So you got a couple really cool Venus stuff going on with Saturn. I was like, wow, lucky you. Yay, somebody gets good Saturn stuff. It's also going to trine your Uranus from July 14th to August 4th, which is going to kick up your intuition big time. Retrograde, it's still going to kick your intuition up. Okay. Anytime Uranus is involved, Uranus is those sudden bursts of insight, of just knowing that you know something, you don't know how you know it. You know, usually when that happens to me, and I know that I know that I know that I know it, then I go and research it. Has anybody else ever thought of this idea? Let me get some background here. Let me get a foundation underneath what I'm seeing so I can build upon it. That's how you use that particular trine. And it's going to hit it on a retrograde, so it's going to be real internalized. And it's like waking up one morning and realize, wait a second, the hangman really might mean this. Let me think on that. Let me research this a little. What does this one say? What does that one say? Let me throw my 2 cents in here. You know, why did Pamela Coleman Smith paint that card that way? Tap into her energy. I have found her. But I meditate on people whose books I really like, who've crossed over, and try to figure out where their mindset was when they were writing, and it's helped me a lot. It's not that I talk to them. Let's get real clear, but happen to where they were in that process and bringing that information forward, if that makes sense.
I do readings,
right?
On them.
Makes sense. Whoops.
I said I do readings.
My phone's being weird too now. Okay, I'll just keep talking. You can ask me a question. You know, when we're done, you can call and ask me anything you want for the next year. When these days come up, if something comes up, you call me. You got my phone number on speed dial, I hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I should be. All right. When Venus goes direct on August 25th, it's going to retrine that Uranus again, September 14th to September 22nd. And it's going to retrine your Venus October 30th to November 9th. So you have got nothing but trines from Saturn this year.
Wow.
I have no idea what a blessing that is. It's like the gods themselves have said, we're going to give Aaron lots of really good stuff this year. And it's all 11th house stuff, the 3rd house stuff. Where is your Uranus? I think Uranus in the 7th house. Cool, like information overload everywhere. So take the time to write it down. I mean, I know you journal all the time. I don't have to tell you to journal. Most people, it's like, you're journaling that, right? Because when this year is over and you go back and reread those notes, you'll have tremendous insight, truly. You know, the things you're just jotting down that you think aren't much could be the basis of a whole new system you're going to create.
Wow.
A real revolutionary person. I really always have, you know, because we are the next generation coming up. You know, and then there's people who are doing it, and it's like, it's our time now. You're getting ready to enter into what we call the age of Jupiter. When you hit 58 to 60, you start moving into the age of Jupiter, and that's when you start getting the rewards for all the work that you've done. That's when you start getting acknowledged for all the work that you've done. So have a lot of stuff out there. People know your name.
Very good.
You know, because you need that. The more people who know you, the more business you have, the more people you can help. Because that's what this is all about. We both know what we do is to be of service to everybody, service to the planet. How can I make your life easier?
That's me.
Right? And if you know how to work the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The Uranus transits, Uranus right now is moving through. He's in Aries. That's what I thought. I had to double check it. It's in your 2nd house of self-worth, so lots of stuff fluctuating constantly. You know, oh, I'm not pretty enough. Oh, I'm not great enough. Or I am a queen walking on the planet. You just better get out of my way.
I like that one.
Things I facilitate every year is a queen's workshop at this thing called Women's Gathering, because I'm a firm believer in that there's an aspect between the mother phase and the crone phase that we've all missed out on. For those of us who never had children, where does that leave us? Yes, we give birth to projects, but there are 4 elements. There are 4 moon phases. There's not 3. You know, Graves made all that up in his book, The White Goddess, the whole maiden mother crone thing. And I won't get into the politics of it, but what I facilitate is that phase of when we step into our power, which is the queen or the matriarch, typically from about the age 40 to about the age 60. And so we have a whole program that me and a friend of mine have created where you sink down into yourself and figure out who you are, you rise up in your power, and then you step out into the world and create something. And if you want, I'll share a lot of that information with you, because I know you're in that phase anyway, but it's about acknowledging the wisdom. We're not crones yet. We may look like it, all this gray hair, but I'm not ready yet to sink back in the cave and just disperse wisdom. I am not there yet. Yeah, I don't have the wisdom yet, you know? And if Queen Elizabeth can still be on the throne, baby, I ain't you know, she's cool. Yeah, exactly. No. So, empowering time for me, because I found my voice. I found the right to speak up. I found the right to get involved in things that I normally wouldn't have. And the Uranus thing does that. You're getting ready for your Saturn return in 2 years, so you're right in that perfect age bracket of feeling like there's more I can be doing. And the more you can acknowledge that wisdom and energy within yourself, that you are the queen of your own life. Step out there and share that with other women and bring more people into, you know, to let them know it's not just about having babies. We are more than our uterus.
Yeah.
Basically. That's my issue with that whole thing, you know. Well, when you quit bleeding, you're a crone. No. Crones should have wisdom, you know, and I know some amazing ones. And are you kidding? When I go and I sit with them, I'm like in awe, true awe. It's like, oh, you know, it's like every word out of their mouth is, even if it's something silly like a spaghetti recipe, they throw so much other stuff in with it. You know, now, you know, when you're doing this, you want to fold it just this way because, and I take that as a metaphor for everything.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. Okay. The Uranus transit, 2nd house, self-worth. Realize the queen you are. That's why I brought that whole subject up. Make yourself a crown. I got several of them. I walk around festivals and crowns now, so people know not to draw attention to me, but to draw attention to what I share and what I carry. You know, the right of women to be empowered just because they're women. You've got a great Saturn Uranus trine to your natal Uranus from February 14th to March 8th. So incredible amounts of psychic ability coming. Oh, I love your crown. Look at you. I should get you. You got to come to Women's Gathering one of these days. You really do. I know it's expensive to fly up here, but oh my God, you would love it. You would. And you could wear your crown. You could hang out with all the cool kids. In my cabin, almost all of us are in that phase. So we wear our crowns the whole time. And, you know, we have great parties every night. People come and hang out with us because we're so cool, you know, because we have a good time. Welcome to come and share. I love the crown, though. I don't have one that nice. I need to get one like that. So back to Uranus. Uranus is going to be trining your natal Uranus from February 14th to March 8th. Be a lot more psychically sensitive in that time period, but it's those really flashes of intuition, normal, all right? And it's not those long, lovely, you know, dreams of, oh, this is okay, now we can do this, but it's that boom, here it is. Also can tap into your inner rebel. Because don't forget, Uranus is the great awakener. It is where we are our most rebellious, where we will stand alone against all the odds when we know we're right. You know, when Uranus was discovered is when America was born. India broke away from England, Canada. Everybody like was revolting across the whole world. So that's why it's called the Great Awakener, when we stand up for human rights versus the right of the monarchy, which we're kind of having again. Sorry, political. Stop. So.
I'm right there.
So pay those particular days. Pay attention. Pop into your head. Write them down. I keep a little notebook in my purse on me all the time when I have those little bursts of insight, and I write it down, and then I wait and see how it unfolds. And to trust my intuition, because for years and years and years of doing that, now I know, okay, this really is good psychic information. I still write it down anyway because I have a record of it. See, I wrote this down on this date, and this is what just happened. And that's how I teach my own personal students and my own personal craft. They have to do that because it helps them to realize and wake up psychically.
Oh, very good.
That ability, and we should use it. Especially you. I mean, you're so psychic, it's scary. So for you to even be more psychic for this couple of weeks is going to be like, okay, I think I can handle it, you know, and you can. This is going to oppose your Venus in Aries from April 14th to May 1st. And so that's where you may have a little bit of confusion, because Uranus is, you know, because it can be tricky, Uranus, because it has that whole rebel thing. I mean, if you think about it, it actually moves backward in its orbit, and it's at a weird axis to the rest of the planets. John can tell you astronomically, because he's the astronomer. It was because at one point it was hit, and that's why it's on his axis weird, and he goes into this whole spiel about it. It's like, okay, John, hush. Thank you, I know that, but I just care what it does astrologically. So, astrology classes this time for the third time, but he's actually getting it, so it's really good. Oh, that makes sense now, you know. And plus, as he says, he hears more about me in my classes because I tell stories. I'm a storyteller, and he hears too much more about me. That I say, I got to be careful. You can use that against me later, you know. Uranus is going to retrograde. It's going to house of self-worth from August 3rd to the end of the year. Then it's going to reoppose the Venus from November 5th. Actually from November 15th to January 6th, which is a very long time, because it's starting to move slow to turn back direct. And so in that case, it's like really, really, really long. And again, that's when it's time to really look at the woman on the planet. You know, Venus energy is very feminine energy, no matter what sign it's in. It's ruled by Aphrodite, Venus, all of those wonderful female goddesses. How are you going to be like her? You're going to be a stand, because she had a tremendous amount of power.
Yeah, people don't think that, but yeah.
The goddesses, she chose her lovers where she would. Life the way she wanted. Yes, she had a husband, but he was cool with it. So whatever you're comfortable with, what do you need to do for you, for self-love? Goddess within you, standing up tall and proud and owning that crown. Those 2 times, that's probably the most complicated part of your chart the whole year, is that particular opposition to your Venus. And that's November 15th through January 6th. Call me when stuff comes up. You've got, and it's such a long, complicated one. That's why I'm concerned about it a little bit. Not concerned in a bad way, but just I know issues will come up. So if you get overwhelmed, just, hey, a second, and we'll pull your chart up and we'll look at other ways you can use the energy. Because when you're under a difficult Venus transit, we have what we call the higher octaves of the planets. This is a little confusing to you people who are watching this, but until 1778, we only had 7 planets. Then Uranus was discovered, changed the world. In my opinion, that was the birth of the Aquarian age. We're not there yet. Okay, it's a 500-year process to get there, but that just changed everything. There was a new planet that shifted the whole reality. Octave of Mercury, because they're both related to the mind. Neptune of Venus. So when you're under a difficult Venus transit, then I'm going to look at what Neptune's doing in your chart and see if you can work with that energy. Kind of, sort of.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll talk. Okay. And for those who are listening, Pluto is the higher octave of Mars energy, because they both can be very aggressive, very destroying, very all-consuming, and they also are absolute transformation. Works. There's a whole lot to astrology in case people haven't figured that out yet. I just taught a 101 class and people are like, oh my God, I barely touched the surface. I said, exactly. Too. Because the way I teach, I have a 2.5-year program if people really want to learn to be an astrologer. And I'm getting more. I'm so excited. I have a lot of people I've taught that are now practicing astrologers, and it's like, that's the coolest thing ever. And the first one that one of my students taught up to the level that they're now practicing. So I have an astrological downline, which to me is a big deal. But anyway, whole nother thing.
Cool.
Neptune transits, it's really, really slow. Neptune is in your first house all year long. Exactly. I am the queen. It's going to retrograde Pisces from June 16th until all of 2007. So it's just going to be there. It's not going to do a whole lot. The thing with Neptune in the first house, really pay attention, especially if you're like me, because the first thing I want to do is grab something sweet when I'm feeling stressed, which is the worst thing I can do for myself with, my health issues. And so find another outlet for that.
I don't know what you
No guilt. We don't do guilt. We don't do, no. Guilt's a wasted emotion. If you have to have, I have to have a certain amount of Coca-Cola a day. I'm addicted to it. My mother put it in my bottle when I was a little kid. I'm almost 60 years old. It ain't never going to change. I've tried to quit for years. I never can. So I allow myself one. Okay. If it's a really stressful day, I'll have 2. But I allow myself 1 a day. So when I'm going to be having a Neptune thing like this, I'd want 3 liters a day. So I'd really have to go, okay, you can only have 1. If it's really, really stressful in the evening, you can have a half a glass. Just for my own self-discipline, because I'm diabetic, I shouldn't be drinking this stuff. So just pay attention to that. There's going to be a need for wanting sweet stuff and, self-pampering, self-care in other ways other than food. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because the sugar's not good for us. And if you can find another sweetener that's not aspartame or those nasty things, let me know. Because I can't do any of that chemical junk. It's like the Pluto transits, actually, it's moving more than Neptune this year. It's going to enter your 12th house on February 1st, which is going to shift a lot of energy, because the 12th house is where our hidden enemies are, where we don't always see clearly. It's right before the dawn in the birth chart. So it rules big institutions, hospitals, prisons, all those really horrible places. But it's also where our past lives are. Those of us who are in tune to metaphysical and occult information, it's a great time to do a lot of exploration of why you are doing what you're doing this life. The birth chart, which nobody ever talks about. They always say, oh, don't ever do your South Node because it's the horrible stuff from, what you've done. It's also all the good stuff that you've done, too, that you can bring forward into this life. Huge difference. So just 1 second, I need to check your chart. I'm just going to blink you out for a second. Don't go away, because I have your chart right here. Hold on. Where's it at? It's not showing up. What did I do? What did I do? What was I looking for? Pluto's going through there. Oh, no. What did I do? Did I lose you? Please tell me I didn't lose you.
I'm here.
I was looking for your south nodes. Yes, your south node is in Pisces. Ha, hysterical. You're also having, and your sun's in Pisces too. Hold on. Now I got to find you again. I lost you somewhere in this whole process. Well, there you are. I see you. Okay, your south node is in Pisces. So you have lifetime after lifetime after lifetime of being a spiritual person. If you think about it, you were probably nuns and priests and monks and all that kind of stuff. And it's about revisiting all that, pulling it forward and putting it into work this lifetime. Neptune has already gone over your south node. It did that 2 years ago. So if you think back 2 years ago, you went through a whole lot of processing of that, of really realizing that you're a priestess walking on the planet. Be going over your sun this year, this coming year. It's going to hit 15. Did I write that date down? Yeah, from June 16th until 2007, it's going to be at 14 Pisces, which is where you're real close to your sun. One of the things I have to let you know about Pisces, though, is we deceive ourselves there. I'm a Pisces too, right? And I never saw the Cancer coming because it was a Neptune transit. So if you have any health issues at all, hey, yes, ma'am.
Keep going. I've got to go to the freaking door again.
Hey, I'll keep going. No problem. If you have any health concerns at all this year, don't wait on them. Because what happens is we just think, oh, I'm going to be fine. This cold's going to pass, when you can actually maybe have bronchitis or pneumonia. So anything that you feel your body's breaking down on, go to the doctor this year. Do not hesitate. Do not wait. Only because I want to be sure that you stay healthy and walking on the planet. That's the most important thing. Neptune retrogrades can be really tricky. Again, because yes, it's tremendous spiritual information with Neptune, but it's also, you can't, and never forget, it's where we deceive ourselves too. So we can get caught up in the logic trap and the mind trap in the games that we play in our own head. So just be aware of that at the same time. And then last but not least are the Pluto transits, which this particular year do a little bit more than normally. Pluto moves really, really slow. It takes 270 years for it to go around the zodiac. So it's a very long time going. And in your case, Pluto is going to be entering the 12th house on February 1st, which, okay. And so entering into that realm of nebulous information, of all the past life stuff you have, all the karma that you brought in, how we imprison ourselves, how we deceive ourselves, friends that don't turn out to not be friends, large institutions, all that stuff comes into play. Pluto going through there, those are the things that you're going to need to break up and destroy and rebuild. Capricorn right now, and that's its whole process, is this system doesn't work, I'm going to tear it down and make it work. It's very painful, but it's something we all go through. Like Capricorn, it's the restructuring of your ability to tap into even your metaphysical stuff, because it's the 12th house. It's going to retrograde on April 20th. Again, it's staying in your 12th house. It doesn't really affect any of the planets there. It's just the fact that it's there is most annoying. The retrograde is actually on June 24th. It's going to go back into your 11th house of groups and associations until it goes direct again on 9/20. So you've got from 4/20 to 6/24 this nebulous part of Pluto being in the 12th house and really breaking down some stuff in your own soul. Seeing where you've been, where you've come from, pulling the good information forward and allowing yourself to heal the other stuff. You know, no guilt. Guilt's a wasted emotion. Don't get into guilt. If you can't do something about it, let it go. You know, if you can find somebody you've wronged and you can apologize to them and make it right, that's wonderful. Sometimes we can't do that. You know, make a way so you don't keep yourself in guilt. Pisces, we're the worst about that. That's why we're the biggest drama queens. Oh, woe is me. My life sucks because blah, blah, blah happened. That's not why your life sucks. Your life sucks because you haven't pulled yourself up and said, I'm a wonderful person living on the planet and I have a right to my life. And so that's what this whole Pluto thing is about. It's going to be going retrograde, moving backwards, like we said in April. And it's going to cross back into your 11th house on the 24th of June. And so that's the last time you get to review. Hello, I'm glad you're back. that you get to review, you've decided to be involved with, and the ones that are serving you and the ones that aren't.
Okay.
Okay. Pluto will be retrograde. It goes direct on September 28th, and it's going to enter your 12th house again on November 27th. So from June 24th to November 27th, it's going to be retrograde direct in your 11th house of groups.
Okay.
Back in your 12th house again. So there's a whole lot going on with Pluto, tearing down structures that don't work in your life and rebuilding them. Okay? Part of the process. And if that's the worst thing that's going on this year, you got a really good year.
Yes,
All right?
ma'am.
Any questions so far? Because that's all the stuff.
No, I don't have any questions. I'm going to go back over this with my little planner so I can write stuff down. I know you're sending it to me. My question for you would be, what is, and this is for the audience that's watching us, why do your transits? I know why, I mean, I'm hoping people know why after watching this, but what would you, if you do it in one pithy statement, that's pithy, 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 what would you say to people? Why do transits with you?
Transits show you what you're evolving into. The birth chart is a stagnant moment in the universe. It's the moment you took your first breath. That never changes. But what the planets are doing right now is how your soul's evolving in the universe and how you're becoming the person you want to be. And how to use that energy to make it easier to go through the process, and as opposed to letting the universe just kick your ass.
So my other question is, I put your email in the comments, and when the video goes up, the recorded version, I'll put that out there too. Can you, do you have a set structure fee? Because we're going to talk. I mean, I need to pay you after this, but I'll do that offline, so I'm not giving everybody my credit card information.
Absolutely.
But how do they get in touch with you? I put julliastarz, 2 L's, people, 2 L's.
2 L's.
Email. Is that the best way to get in contact with you? Or should I hit you up on Facebook?
Either one. If you hit me up on Facebook, I answer quick. You know, both of them, I try to answer both email and Facebook the same day. If something's going on, then it's the next day. My feed for basic natal reading, which I have to do first before I can do your transit. Sorry, because I got to know who you are first. And in the basic natal reading, I do include the transits for that year. So it's really a package deal that's really worth the money. That's $100. It takes me about an hour to 2 hours to set the chart up. Then I'll spend at least 2 hours with you. Sometimes more if you have a lot of questions.
It's dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap, and you need to raise your prices.
I do. You're right. But for right now, it's okay because I like to be available. I know for $100 for a lot of people is a lot of money. Transit readings are $75 again because I spend about an hour and a half ahead of time, and then usually an hour to two depending on the person afterwards. So they're a little cheaper because we're not doing the basic natal thing. So those are my fees, and I do take PayPal and anything else.
Awesome. Julia, thank you so very much. I've got a lot of stuff to go back over this, and because I need to go back and pause, pause, because you always give me so much information. So I really appreciate it. I'm really excited about this year. Y'all need to know that right before we went live, she said I was having a great year, and I said, is this the year Ellen's going to put me on her show? And she said, you never know. It's very possible. It's
possible.
So,
it really is. But that means you have to get off your butt and get your name out there.
That I can do that.
Okay, I know you can. You know you can. And again, if you have any questions, you call me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I consider, I consider this a year-long process, and so stuff comes up.
You up for another chat because we had a lot of really great questions. But because of the audio stuff, I wasn't able to throw them at you. But I want to gather up these questions from folks and do another Q&A with you. And really,
I would love that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of questions. Now, I have a question. Your 2.5-year class, is that only in person? Can somebody do it with you
now
online?
You know, I have to figure out a way to do like a Google Hangout and set it because I have a lot of people long distance who want to take it. And I'm not computer savvy, but my friend John, who is the wizard, is promising to come in. Probably he'll be here for my birthday, and we're going to set it all up.
Okay, awesome. This
get
is
that set up for you.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, I have 3 Johns in my life. We call my John Julia's John. My friend Kathy's John is Kathy's John, and Michelle has Michelle's John. And they all have to have that name because there's just too many Johns.
Awesome, awesome.
And
Okay,
I
so
appreciate this so much. I really do. I love doing this. And just the chance to talk to you is wonderful, and to get paid for it is like, yes. But thank you,
and
seriously.
what y'all need to know is that Julia and I have never met in person, but we have been friends for,
Nope. Over 20 years.
yeah, I was thinking 25 almost now. So
Probably, yeah, probably. Pagan table going back that far. So 20, actually probably close to 26. I mean, you've been through with me when I left my ex-husband, went through my period of pan and having a lot of fun with all kinds of guys, and finally meet John.
and met that scary guy.
You know? Oh, I know. There were a lot of those in the process.
Well, before we get
I
real
love you
personal-
so much. You know that. And we'll talk personal privately. But yeah, you know how much I love and adore you, and I expect the best from you. I really do.
Thank you, baby.
And any way I can support that, I will.
I appreciate
Right?
it. And everybody watching.
And I'll work on my.
Go ahead.
See you later. Okay. Bye bye.
Seek joy, y'all. Bye bye.